Okay. All glories to Mother Ratasha. All glories to the religion of love. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to our Supreme Lord. O Lord God, please help us about these teachings be an example of love in the world. Jai. Oh yeah, it's recorded, yeah. So we're picking up where we left off in the book Rebel. Not long after came a couple, married many years, and the woman was first to speak, saying, "When we were young, my husband treated me unkindly and gave me no respect. I tried and tried to win his approval, but never succeeded. Now we are older, and our circumstances are changed, and my husband is very kind to me. But still, I cannot let go of the past and my anger at it, so that now I treat my husband as he once treated me." "What is it you want of me?" asked the master. "For if you wish to go on punishing your husband, ruining your relationship and your happiness, you do not need a spiritual master to tell you how to do that. I suspect you are already very expert at it." And the husband, who was yet to say a single word, now nodded his head yes. "Oh no," cried the woman, "I came to you for your help. I want to be free of the past, free of my anger." "Then," said the master, "stop the lying." "Lying?" exclaimed the woman. "I swear," she sputtered, "everything I told you is true." The master then explained, "Except in your thoughts, the past no longer exists." And the woman agreed. "And if by your thoughts you put what is past into the present, and then react to the past, instead of responding to the present, you live in illusion. This is why I said to stop the lying. And when you punish another with anger for something in the past, pretending it is anger for something in the present, with anger out of all proportion for the least little thing, how honest is that?" And the woman's eyes were filled with tears, and she lamenting, "Now I can see," she said, "how I have made my husband's life a hell, and mine as well." And the master said, "Heaven and hell are not so much places as degrees of consciousness, measuring how near to or far from we are to truth. Truth is only in the present. In the present is the mind stilled, making the past powerless. Be vigilant to stay always awake and aware in the present, for only the present is real." "And of forgetting?" asked the woman. "I now understand that to be fully in the present frees me from the phantoms of the past. But should we also forget?" And the master answered her, "To forget is not possible. The mind is a vast storehouse of everything from the past, where nothing is ever lost. When needed, we can consciously go into our archives so that lessons learnt in the past need not be repeated in the future." Then the woman paid her obeisances before the spiritual master, who said, "To be fully awake in the present is to enter into eternity. It is in that shimmering, silent stillness that the voice of God is heard." Then, when the husband finally spoke, he first thanked the master, saying, "You who have helped my wife have also helped my life. But my wife is not the only one coming with questions. I also have something to ask." "There is a teaching," he said, "much talked about today, where it is said that what we focus on increases. We are also told that what we observe decreases." And he gave example, saying, "It is said not to focus on anything negative, for that increases its power. And it is also said that if something negative comes up, to observe it, and its power will be decreased. My problem," he said, "is though the two words seem different, they are basically descriptions of the same action, attention. So my question is, how, from doing basically the same thing, can we expect two different results?" And the master answered, "It is the intention in the attention which determines the result." "So simple, so perfect," marveled the man. May I ask once again of a spiritual practice where we are told to stare into the flame of a candle till we become one with the flame and cease to exist? To tell the truth, I have no desire to become a candle, and even less desire to cease to exist, and yet I want badly to make advancement on the spiritual path. And the master calmed his fears, explaining, "You are eternal, so there is no question of you ever ceasing to exist. What could cease to exist would be your false identification with the material body as yourself. It is the removing of illusion, so the real may be revealed." Okay. All right, so recap. The couple comes, married many years, and we've all probably experienced something like this or seen something like this, where the woman says she was treated unkindly, not respected, could never win the approval of her husband, and they got older, circumstance changed, now the husband's kind, but the wife can't let go of the past and her anger at it, and now she's treating her husband the same way he once treated her. Kind of like that cycle of violence kind of stuff, right? We repeat what's been done unto us. But more than that. And the master says, "What do you want of me? If you wish to go on punishing your husband and ruining your relationship and your happiness, you don't need a spiritual master to tell you how to do that. I suspect you're already very expert at it." Like, dang, It's like, whoa. Oh, I wasn't expecting that, huh? The thing about a spiritual master or the true well-wisher is they don't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear. And spiritual masters, devotees of God, are very simple, very frank and to the point. And it's a kind of a cheeky answer, but it's also, to jolt someone's consciousness, snap them out of their funk, think a little differently. Right. And what does she mean by that? And then the husband, who was yet to say a single word, now nodded his head, yes, It's kind of a funny thing. It's like, "Oh no, I came to you for help. I want to be free of the past, free of my anger." And here comes another, like, "Whoa, then stop the lying," says the master. Like, dang, that's, oh, really? I mean, who can understand the pure devotee of God who's not in any material consciousness whatsoever, but is in the spirituals, with God already? Who can really understand? Mother Atasha, any spiritual master, they're speaking on such a deeper level to wake us up. And she goes on to explain, of course, the lady's saying, "I told you everything was true, And here we go. "Except in your thoughts, the past no longer exists. And the woman agrees. Right. Past is the past. It doesn't exist anymore. It only exists in your memories. That is where the past exists. And what is of your thoughts of the past isn't real. It's illusory. It's not right now in the present. And she says, if by your thoughts you put what is past into the present and then react to the past instead of responding to the present, you live in illusion. Right. Isn't that what we normally do? We're very reactive. We react to things. There's a difference between emotionally reacting to something and consciously and being aware to act in that moment. Reaction or acting consciously. Good example, I'm sure we've all experienced this. Someone triggers us or pushes our buttons and something comes up and we react to that. You might get angry, you might get upset, you might get sad, fearful. We react. And I know I've been there where in a certain situation, we just blurt out the first thing that pops in our head, right? Which later we regret, which wasn't too intelligent, right? It's just an emotional reaction. We are reacting. And what are we reacting to? See, all of our emotions come from our own thoughts. And all of our thoughts and memories are from the past. So our emotions are being triggered from past thoughts, which is illusory. And we react to those things that are buried within ourselves that we may be aware or unaware of, rather than consciously being present and acting with our intelligence properly. This happens, we've all done this. We all still do it. It takes practice to catch our mind. And this is why she says, stop the lying. And she says, when you punish another with anger for something in the past, pretending it is anger for something in the present, with anger out of all proportion for the least little thing, how honest is that? Right. So we've experienced this too, especially with family members, friends, relationships, where someone gets triggered, push the buttons, and they dredge up stuff from the past. And it's this endless broken record. Worse than that, they might not even realize they're dredging up from the past, but all the anger from the past, that's what's coming up for something that's not actually for something right now. It's totally out of proportion. And this is what's happening to this lady, and she's reacting to the past anger that's deep within her mind that she is still suffering with, instead of being present with the actual situation and acting accordingly. She's suffering in her mind, as are we all. And the woman's eyes filled with tears, and she lamenting, I can see how I have made my husband's life a hell and mine as well. And I'm going to share a little commentary. I went through some of my notes with Mother Natasha. She says, be present now. Focus on now. Be conscious fully on what you're doing, where you are, etc. The mind's thoughts are all of the past. To not be contaminated by the mind, know that you and your mind are separate entities, and just observe it. Oh, that's the mind, right? So trying to resist it or fight it will make it stronger. But to look at it, know it is only past storage of the mind, it will lose its power. And that's akin to the teaching we, a little later we just read, that whatever we focus on, will decrease its power to affect us. Observing, that's the observing part. Jesus said, resist not evil from the mind. So the mind plays a loop of old stuff. And the mind is so tricky, it feels like the present, and we react to it and keep suffering. Understand how the mechanism works and utilize it how you want it. And the Master said, heaven and hell are not so much places as degrees of consciousness measuring how near to or far from we are to truth. It's a totally different conception of heaven and hell, isn't it? And surely, life can truly be a hell for many of us, especially if our mind is so engrossed in such suffering and pain and depression and sorrowful thoughts. Our life can be quite miserable, can be quite hellish. And of course, anyone familiar with the Vedic scriptures, they actually do describe within this material universe many different planets, upper, middle, and lower. And there are very heavenly planets where one may live much longer, have more powerful celestial bodies, and enjoy pleasures thousands of times greater than on Earth. And of course there's lower hellish planets where suffering is far greater. And she taught that Earth is the most auspicious planet. See, in the heavenly planets, all you think about is your enjoyment. And if in the hellish planets, it's your suffering. Earth is the middle ground, and so is best suited for going towards the spiritual world. But even more than that, what would take us towards a hellish planet or a heavenly planet after death, again, is what's in our mind, as we desire and as we deserve. And verily, we get a next birth according to our karma and our consciousness in this life. But we don't want to go up or down in this world. We want to be liberated from birth and death altogether. We want to go home to the spiritual world. We want to be again established in truth. That's what we want. We want to be in our natural state of ecstasy, immortality, and knowledge. So truth. She says, truth is only in the present. So, and in the present is the mind stilled, making the past powerless. So, if you were wondering, where is the ignorance? Where is the illusion? Where is all this covering that's keeping me from experiencing the truth of God? Experiencing my true self as the eternal servitor of God, and act in love and experience that love? The answer is, it's in the mind. And if we are fully present, and the mind is completely stilled and quiet, the past becomes powerless. None of those thoughts can affect you. You're in the shimmering silent stillness, wherein the voice of God can be heard. Now, good example would be thrill seekers, people who skydive, do crazy stunts, do a lot of dangerous things. And if you talk to them, why they do these crazy things, it's because when they're in that moment where they are hyper-focused in the present moment, they say everything becomes clear. There is no fear, there's no anxiety. They feel absolutely free, they feel peace, because they're so present. And they chase after that feeling, that experience of being present again and again, even if it's just a moment. And more examples of people who are in, life and death situations, car accidents, cars flipping, things like that. They didn't feel fear in the moment when it happened. Afterwards, surely. Before it, maybe. But in the moment when things go crazy, people actually don't have that much fear because they're so present. And fear is always past projected to the future. It's illusion within itself. Or illusion doubles, so to speak. So the mind is so powerful. With it you can even control your emotions and your body. But it is also the cause of suffering. A mind full of fear can bring you to hell. And I'm not talking just after death, even right now. And of forgetting, asked the woman, I now understand that to be fully in the present frees me from the phantoms of the past, but should we also forget? And the master answered her, to forget is not possible. The mind is a vast storehouse of everything from the past, where nothing is ever lost. When needed, we can consciously go into our archive so that lessons learned in the past need not be repeated in the future. So, everything our senses have ever experienced in our life, are taken in and sorted in the mind. Everything. We're not able to recollect it all, but everything, even from a baby hearing a sound or tasting something, touching something, all of it's recorded. We don't say, they say we only use 10% of our mind. Scientists say, maybe even less than that, honestly. But it's all recorded. It's not actually forgotten. As when people get hypnotized and then they remember stuff, well, yeah, it's all there. Everything. The mind is 10 billion times better than the best computer. So we stay in the present, the now, and if we need some information, we can reach into the storehouse. We can grab someone's phone number, some address, some knowledge we need for a particular situation. But we do it consciously, in the present. We search the past in our minds for information, but we do it in the present. Meaning you are actively using your mind, utilizing the mechanism of the mind for your goals, for your purposes in the now, in the present moment. Not that our mind is running amok and playing these old records, old home movies that we think about and play in our minds and dwell on. Most of the time the mind is in control. I wouldn't say more, actually I would say all the time, really. The mind has the reins to our life. But remember, she says, be mindful that you are not the mind. You are two separate entities. You are the spirit soul within the body. The mind is a tool. It's a material sense organ, hub of all the senses of your body, but you're not the mind. It's part of the package that we have here. And the uncontrolled mind, is our greatest enemy in life. But when controlled, through keeping present, through purifying things of the past, the mind becomes a great ally. In fact, becomes our best friend. Okay, so then the husband speaks of a teaching that is confusing him. He hears two different things. So he says, there is a teaching much talked about today where it is said that what we focus on increases. We are also told that what we observe decreases. It is said not to focus on anything negative, for that increases its power. And it also says that if something negative comes up, to observe it and its power will be decreased. My problem is, though the two words seem different, they are basically descriptions of the same thing, same action, attention. So how can you do the same thing, get two different results? Right, so here are the two different teachings. So, when painful feelings of anger, hate, fear, anxiety, sadness, and this is part of the peace process. You can review that, from past classes in the peace book. That when these things come up, we must observe them. Just look at them. And just right away, just putting your focus on the feelings themselves, not what's outside of you, but what you're feeling inside. Where in the body is it? What color is it? What shape is it? Etc. Just really breathe deeply and feel your feelings instead of shoving them back down or denying them or ignoring them. Just by observing them, you'll be surprised at how much of effect they have on you will be decreased. It's like, I like the example, you're in the woods camping and you hear some noise in the dark, and you're like, oh, what is that? Oh my gosh. And you might be full of fear. But if you were to really observe it and you find out what is actually that coming from, you see it, oh, it's a mouse. And then you look at it like, oh, why was I so upset or so worked up? Or it might be a bear, and then you probably got a bigger problem. But maybe not the best example, but but at least now you know what to do. Anywho, so when you focus, you observe your feelings, and we're talking about negative feelings, mind you, the things that are causing our suffering. When we feel our feelings and observe them, automatically they'll start losing their effect on us, their power to influence us. So it said not to focus. Okay, here's the other one. And the other one says if you focus on something, you get more of it. Okay, that's another thing. Whatever you focus on in your life, that you get more of. Like attracts like. I've had a number of gentlemen, speak with me saying they're having trouble with sex desire and thinking about these things and getting hot and bothered. And the first thing I say, well, whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of. You keep thinking about these things, that's going to just make it more powerful. It's going to get more of that in your life. So here's the same thing, we're observing the negative thought to lose its power. And the other thing is we're focusing on something too much and it increases. Right, so how is this going to be two different things going on? Well, right here. It is the intention in the attention that determines the result. So, when you are observing your feelings to be free of your suffering, your intention is exactly that, to be free from your pains, angers, and your fears. And your intention of putting attention on your negative thoughts and feelings is one to heal, to release these things, to be purified, to come to love, to the present. Whereas vice versa, someone focusing on something that's causing them suffering or like these bad habits or problems with things like that, you focus on these things, all the negative stuff in the news, problems with family, if you keep focus on these things, you're going to get more of the same distress, because what's your intention? Your intention is probably not even there. In fact, you're probably not even aware. We're just reacting again, and we're just putting our attention on it, just focusing on them, probably to feel, oh, that shouldn't be, or, probably to, I don't know, whatever narrative we put in our mind, honestly. So the intention isn't the same. So if your intention is for healing, to be present, then yes, that will decrease the effect negative things have on you. But if your intention is not so, you're desiring some of these things, you're trying to enjoy, even the negative things we enjoy. The mind loves the negative. That's why bad news sells so much. That's why people slow down when they drive past a car wreck. The negative, the mind loves to focus on. And if you give it that for its own enjoyment, it's going to increase. We don't want that. Oh, and Mother Tasha says, whatever you give your attention to, you strengthen. It even builds physical pathways in the brain. Worrying will strengthen the problem till it takes over. But we want to focus on the solution, right? But Mother Tasha very often said, when you have a problem, you put 10% of your attention on the problem itself and 90% on the solution, seeking to resolve it. Again, what is your intention of the attention? And you'll find that even if you can't solve the problem, just trying to look for a solution instead of wallowing in your misery and worrying about things, you'll notice you're not going to feel as bad. And let's see. Now the man asked of another spiritual practice. We were told to stare into the flame of a candle till we become one with the candle and cease to exist. And this guy's funny. I like him. He says, "To tell the truth, I have no desire to become a candle, and even less desire to cease to exist. Yet I want so badly to become advanced in spiritual life." And the master calmed his fears, explaining, "You are eternal. There is no question of you ever ceasing to exist." So these philosophies that, in the ultimate truth, that there is all void, that we don't exist anymore, that's not true. You are eternal. You are a beloved lover of God, eternal living entity, and you'll never cease to exist. You're never born, never die, you will always be. The body will change. The body will die. The body will cease to exist. And what also could cease to exist is your false identification with the material body. And that is what a devotee of God, or any transcendentalist, is aiming to realize, that we are not these bodies, but spirit soul, aham brahmasmi. It is the removing of illusion, so the real may be revealed. Right, the real is here. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It just needs to be revealed through removing the illusion which covers our consciousness, our original consciousness, which is currently clouded over by the materially conditioned mind. Okay, I went a little over. My apologies. Let me stop here. Okay. Does anyone have any questions, perchance? Ugh. Well, my foot gets readjusted. It fell asleep again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My wife is marinating on the question. She had it and she lost it. So in this case, do go through the past of your mind and retrieve it, consciously. No, it's not easy. It takes practice. It takes a lot of vigilance, actually, to control the mind, to be aware of when our mind is running amok. And oh, you remember now?
No, that's a new question.
Okay.
Does peace process help us to clear mind and help us to be that being in the present?
Yes. Well, my wife's asking, does the peace process help us to clear our mind and stay present? Of course it does.
No. I mean that the point of that you said, that being the stillness.
Ah, that stillness. Yes. Well, that stillness, that shimmering silent stillness when the mind is quiet, when you're fully present, will the peace process help? And for anyone unfamiliar, the peace process is an actual process that you do, like a tool, like a worksheet, rooted in the teachings of the religion of love and the scriptures, to help us, like a detective, root out the causes of our own suffering in the mind and replace them with true good thoughts, and using the medium of the chanting of the holy names to make it all work by God's mercy. So the peace process is to free us from our suffering in the mind, our past pains, angers, fears, things like that. And the cleaner our mind is, of course, the easier it is to control. If it's full of a bunch of dirty things, and again comparing it to a computer, if it's full of viruses and malware and all these little pop-ups going crazy, it's a little hard to get some work done and focus on what you're doing. It's constantly being disturbed, distracted. So cleaning it up with all the negative things, all the past pains and angers and fears, of course that will help in controlling the mind, especially when it's less chaotic, less full of all these painful things. But it's more than just that. To control the mind really takes practice. And as Mother Tasha said, to observe it and in knowledge know that you are not the mind, the thoughts that are going on. Chanting is a very good spiritual practice, not only for purification and, of course, it being pleasing to God, being devotional service, but when you put all of your attention 100% in hearing the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name, all of your attention, just hearing the sound, not thinking about anything, not pondering what you got to do today, or reminiscing on the TV show you saw last night, or anything else. Just put all of your attention on just one thing, hearing the holy name. And when the mind wanders, which it do, you just bring it back to focus. As she said, don't resist it, don't negate it, just observe it and bring it back. Like Jesus said, resist not the evils of the mind. So just bring the mind back to your practice, to your chanting, to what you want to do. Use the mind, utilize it how you want it to, the real you, how you want it to be utilized. And you'll notice, if you really give this your full effort, your full attention in hearing the holy names of God as a practice daily, you'll be able to catch your mind a little quicker. Sometimes, we'll be chanting and we'll just wander off, nod off in our own mind and be on this whole tangent, and then we catch ourselves and then we come back and focus, right? Probably 5, 10, maybe half an hour goes by, we were in some autopilot of chanting and mind was somewhere else. But the more you catch it, you bring it back, you'll find that you're able to catch it quicker and quicker and quicker. And then the time span of how far it wanders away before you catch it gets smaller and smaller. Think of it, like a dog off a leash or something, and it's just wandering away to go after the food on the kitchen table. Like, no, get back here. Oh, comes back. I do relate my own mind and senses to dogs. Always wanting to go here, there. So train your mind like a dog, or treat it like man's best friend. Like a dog is. But right now, the dog is traumatized and angry and not being a good dog. So our mind's not being good mind, But we don't have to, again, negate it and be like, bad, 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 If you just tell the dog, bad, 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 what happens? The dog just doesn't actually get better. Constructively guide your mind back and focus on what you want to focus on. That will help with controlling the mind. And it takes practice. A lot of practice. And boy, are we tested when we're out in the world with other people especially, and things come up. Someone says something, someone does something, you see something, you hear something, and boy, we get triggered, we get angry, we get upset, and we won't catch ourselves till maybe hours later. Maybe in the next day, and you're like, oh man, I was completely in my mind. I was in this whole emotional trip. I wasn't present. I was just reacting to everything from the past. Well, we're tested quite a bit. And it's good we're tested, actually. Those are a blessing. Anytime that we're presented with things, challenges, trials in life, difficult circumstances, they're actually blessings in disguise. Because they're testing us to be present in that moment and to catch ourselves with the things that come up. Because if there wasn't anger, if there wasn't pain and fear inside of ourselves to begin with, then none of those things would come up. As the Buddha said, after the story of the Enlightened One, when all those people mistook him for the wrong person, they were so angry with him, and then they realized, he wasn't the guy they thought he was, and they apologized, and they said, hey, how come you didn't get angry at us? He says, I apologize to let you down. I just don't have any anger left to give you. So the peace process is to get rid of all those angers, pains, and fears. And when you keep vigilant also to do that process, catch your mind when the things come up and then correct it right then and there. Don't let it slide under the carpet again. Don't, as men were trained as boys, just shove it back down, bottle it up, don't feel it. No, we're not to do that. We're to feel it, observe it, release it with knowledge and spiritual practices. That's the way we heal. But it doesn't happen overnight. If it does for you, oh, God bless you. It takes a lot of hard work and diligence. And you got to be really mindfulness of what is going on in the mind. Be attentive. Be present. Don't let it take the steering wheel. It's going to drive you off a cliff. Drive you to crazy town. You be the driver. But in order to take the reins, you're going to have to train the mind properly. Control it, purify it. Right. Does that help, love? Okay. Anyone else have a question or comment, perchance? We've sure had a lot of tests on Discord lately. Oh my goodness. A lot of trolly users coming and going and saying all sorts of crazy things. To not react to those things. To act in knowledge, to be present, to act as a devotee. Oh, many tests we've been having lately. Have I succeeded in all those tests? Probably not. I'm still trying. I'm trying. Oh my gosh. Every day, the struggle is real, but it does get better. And I will say that after years of practice, the peace process, chanting, trying to apply these teachings, I've gotten so much better. So much better. Oh my gosh. And of course, daily chanting automatically purifies these things. If you chant enough offenselessly, don't be a naughty rascal and chant, but try to be good, try to be of loving service and chant the holy names. It will naturally purify all of these things on its own. Trust the process kind of a thing. It's very powerful and potent. But when we're suffering right now, our mind is causing us so much distress. We can't wait. We need relief now. I can't wait years for this stuff to work. We need help now. And I can honestly say so many things that used to bother me after years of doing this peace process and chanting, trying to be mindful that all my emotions are coming from me, not from anyone else. They're coming from my own thoughts. And that whatever I'm thinking, I'm going to feel. Whatever I feel, I'm going to be impelled to act. And whatever I do, reactions are going to come back to me. So all this cycles of our life, starting with our thoughts, being aware of this, I've been able to catch myself more and more and not get all worked up. Instead, be present and just take a step back. And it really helps to breathe, actually. Taking deep breaths, even just focusing on the breath itself, can help you just reset, little shift gears a little bit. And then, okay, let me observe and catch my mind instead of just being off to the races, in reaction land. So breathing really helps. And that's also part of the peace process, actually, because we do happen to lock things on a cellular level in our body. We actually do. It's like when someone scares you, they jump out from behind a wall, which I sometimes do to my wife, sorry. You go, you hold your breath, right? You lock in that fear. Yeah. When Mother Tosh said we make neural pathways, we actually do. Science has shown this. Certain ways of thinking have created like highways of habitual trains of thought in our mind. This has actually been recorded. And when you change your thought patterns, you can actually create new neural highways by training to think differently. That's actually kind of the science behind psilocybin, magic mushrooms, with dealing with people with PTSD. Not that I'm advocating, shrooms, but that's actually the science. The concept behind it is that when in a proper setting under healthcare professionals, obviously, and proper dosage, not eating the whole bag, dude. You flood the mind with so much activity. It's like a flood, right? So imagine there's a valley and the river's flowing one way, right? But when there's a great storm and a great flood of water, and then when the water recedes, sometimes the river will take a different course once the water recedes. And that's the idea behind that therapy for post-traumatic stress, which is your mind constantly going in the same pathway, the same negative, movie playing in your head that keeps coming up. The hope is that when you flood the mind with so much activity, that when it comes down, you during that process, you probably are now thinking a little differently outside your norm, and then you can, through a different perspective, a different angle of vision within your own self, handle your traumas. But when you're in that rut, you're in that deep rut, you can't get out of the rut. Or like tires driving through a dirt road that's been so deeply rutted, you can't get out of the rut. Off-road comparison. But you don't need to do that. You don't need to take psilocybin or anything outside yourself. You just need knowledge. You need some spiritual practices and chanting the holy names, and that'll be far more effective, actually. Medicines do have their place for those who are sick. But anywho, y'all good? Anything y'all like to say? Questions, comments, anything, brothers? Okay. All right then. Yeah. Oh.
With your legs like that, going to sleep and all that, you'd never make a bloody swami, mate.
No.
They're supposed to chant for hours in that position.
That's true. Yeah. I wouldn't be the show bottle swami. No. No.
Anyway, thank you for the avatar. As you can see.
Oh, that's nice. Look at
I've got the 3 pumps out there.
Look at Yeti's profile picture. Yeah. Instead of the angry dingo, now it's 3 dingo puppies.
Oh,
it's much cuter. Right on. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. All glories.
No worries.
All glories to Mother Ratasha, all glories to Religion of Love, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai.
You guys have a good time. It's